Really? I love it. It looks amazing. Yeah.
Right.
We'll bring this meeting to order. And first off, I would like to do a roundtable of introductions. Let's start with
Lou Mason, Citizen Budget Committee member.
Jennifer Gilbert, Budget Committee member.
Brandon Sundin, City Council.
Ivan Faust, Budget Committee member.
Mark Anderson, City Council.
December, Councilor.
I'm Jenny Dimsha. I'm a project manager and planner for the city, and I also serve as the Urban Renewal Agency's secretary.
John Walsh, and tonight I'm the agency administrator.
Okay, and I'm Rick Scholl, Mayor of St. Helens.
And Gloria Butch, Finance Director and Budget Officer. So the counselors in the room for the meeting tonight are the agency board of directors. As a formality,
Should I introduce our Zoom?
pardon me?
Should I introduce our?
Oh, yes, let's see who's on Zoom. Thank you.
Steve, you can
Steve
introduce yourself.
Steve Toskey, citizen of St. Helens.
We also have Jennifer on Zoom.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was waiting for the talking to stop. I'm actually on the airplane. I should have been already landed to attend this meeting, but we were delayed. So anyway, I am on the phone for as long as I can be. But citizen budget committee member.
Thank you. And so I just wanted to state again that this is the Urban Renewal Budget Committee meeting. And the council serves as the agency board. And reiterate the rules of the budget committee is to review, discuss, make additions or deletions, and approve the budget presented by the budget officer. The budget committee's role is not to make management decisions such as establishing or eliminating specific programs and services. The proposed budget for the URA has been prepared according to the timing of the approved projects within the plan. It is not the responsibility or role of the budget committee to determine the timing of the projects or to approve the projects that have already been adopted by the URA board. And this is Oregon Administrative Rules 150-504-400. Okay, and I'll turn it over to the committee to elect a chair.
Well, Lou seemed to do a pretty good job.
I don't think I'm the chairman of the Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee, but I am
Right,
the,
we need to, he was for the city,
Yes.
but now you have to, as a budget committee for the Urban Renewal Agency, you have to elect a new chair.
Chair.
I'll make a motion to elect Liz.
Okay, there's a motion to elect Lou.
You okay with that?
okay, yeah. If you're okay,
I'm okay.
I guess we'll vote.
Okay.
So not me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, look, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So we have in our packet the minutes of the meeting that happened 2 years ago. This has been a biennial, we're making an annual committee after today. So we have minutes of 2 years ago. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes that anyone remembers? Take a motion to approve the minutes.
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. I'll second.
All in favor to approve the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain. Toskey abstains.
Okay. Minutes are hereby approved. So, Gloria, do you want to give a, introduction, just to talk about the URA and why we're here and?
Sure, so in your budget package was some information about urban renewals in general and the urban renewal for the city of St. Helens. Jenny, John, would you like to do kind of just a about?
I'll pick it off here. Yeah, urban renewal is, well, in our municipal code, we actually got into urban renewal back in 2008. And we formed a plan, came up with, started in on some projects and lists, and then we went down and we just took a pause for a while, but it put the code structure in our plan. Then about 2016, after on the heels of all of our waterfront planning and realizing that we needed to make, find revenue to make the infrastructure investments to attract development and private investment into the site, that urban renewal would be a really good tool to get us to that space. So we went through that process, formed a plan, consulted heavily with our taxing partners. It affects other taxing people. The information, you'll see how it freezes the tax base, and city captures that, makes investments that attracts development, and the development comes on in taxable development, and then it accelerates that economic activity.
Oh, just that, in February of this year, the, city council acting as the agency had a really great introduction to urban renewal agencies. Because we had 3 new counselors at the time, and so if you want to look at that meeting, it's about an hour and a half of just a run through of what urban renewal agencies are, how they're used across Oregon as economic development tools. And I think that was a really good meeting. We talked about our plans specifically. And so if anyone's wondering at home what the heck the Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee meeting is, I really recommend looking at that meeting's recording.
Is there a way that you could briefly just summarize how it works?
Sure. Yeah. John, you want to take a stab at it? Just a little bit.
So in the case of well, we use the Veneer property for an example. So when we form the district, and this district can be a maximum of 25% of the area of your community, and it has to be contiguous. So there's basically a ring that's a boundary that's defined around the community. On the day that it was formed, the tax base, assessed tax base is frozen. So it's the property taxes, anything above that, as it goes up in that valuation, that increment above will be captured and put into the agency funds. So it doesn't raise your taxes.
And or the big one though is new construction, you get 100%.
Well, and then
Up to the life of the URA.
yeah,
And it goes back to the taxing districts.
it doesn't freeze just the city's taxes, it freezes all of the taxes, our taxing partners, so the city gets $1.90 of about a $13 a thousand total, so all of that increment comes into the agency. So properties like the Veneer property, which are not accessible, any new development, 100% of that tax is going to go to help fund the infrastructure project. So it's a pretty powerful tool, and then it comes back on the tax. Once the debt is paid off, it goes back onto the tax rolls and
Incremented back out.
incremented back out.
Yep.
It's a little bit more complicated. There's some profit sharing towards the end there. That's a high level. It's a really good slide in these materials here.
Well, the source of the funds,
Come from the property tax increase. Yeah. And new development. So like for an example, the veterinarian clinic on Columbia Boulevard is brand new to the urban. Yep. Anything that is new up Columbia Boulevard, downtown here, or has been sold and maybe reassessed, is new increments to feed that. Yep. Greystone, all Greystone out there.
Yep.
But not Burger King, I don't believe, but the other side would be.
Other investments like Legacy Clinic has an exemption, so they're not property taxed, and
Probably.
Bradley Farber was a big investment. It's not property tax either, so there's no benefits that have been real agency for those projects, unfortunately.
okay? Any other questions on the overview or introduction before we get on to the message? Message, Gloria? Thank you.
It is now a pleasure to present to you the fiscal year 2025 proposed budget for the St. Helens Urban Renewal Agency. This will be the first year since the formation of the SHURA, where funds will be appropriated in categories other than in contingency. For the past 7 years, the urban renewal has been collecting resources to ensure and enable the agency to advance the priority infrastructure projects identified in the adopted St. Helens Urban Renewal Agency Plan. This plan and project list is available on the city's website, noted there. The proposed budget appropriates $3 million in capital outlay to support the Riverfront District Streets and Utilities Extension Project and for phase 1 of the Riverwalk project. These two projects focus on improving key streets and intersections in the downtown Riverfront District, extending utilities onto the city's riverfront property, and improvements along the Columbia River in Columbia View Park. These projects will set the groundwork for future public amenities and private investment on the city's riverfront property. For more information, see the project page on the city's website. To date, the projects have been accounted for primarily in the City of St. Helens Community Development Fund. The resources for project expenditures include a loan, an IFA loan, which is Infrastructure Finance Authority, and grants administered by the state. Additionally, some eligible expenses are accounted for in the city's SDC funds. As of June 30, 2024, draws from the IFA loan will be $8,147,075, and the balance of the loan will be used in fiscal year 2025. Maximum indebtedness, MI, for the urban renewal is $62 million. This is measured by the project expenditures of the agency. By June 30, 2025, the amount of MI used by the agency is expected to be $17,546,875. Project expenditures are financed by system development charges, are not counted against the MI. The agency is projected to receive less than forecasted property tax revenue for fiscal years 2024 and 2025 due to the departure of Cascades Tissue.
Excuse me.
Staff are optimistic that the impact of their departure will be a short period. Private investment on the city's waterfront redevelopment project, reactivation at the mill site with a new paper manufacturer, and reactivation at the former Armstrong World Industries site all have potential to improve the financial outlook for the agency in the long term. In the future, the City of St. Helens may request reimbursement of expenses from previous years that were related to the agency. Currently, city staff is recommending that it wait to see any reimbursements of agency expenses from previous years to ensure successful completion of the city's infrastructure projects that are underway. These expenses can include agency planning fees and professional services, along with a percentage of staff time that was used to create and administer the agency. These expenses are tracked in our financial system of the city if the city chooses to seek reimbursement in the future from the agency. For fiscal years 2023 and 2024, the agency budget was adopted in the biennial format. This year, staff are recommending adopting the budget on an annual basis, at least until there becomes stability in the city's industrial area. Respectfully, John Wall, Agency Administrator, Gloria Butch, Agency Finance Director, and Jennifer Suso, Agency Secretary and Community Development Manager.
Before we do public comment, are any discussion or questions on what Gloria just read?
Yeah, I have something. So I know we had talked about during the budget committee meetings, utilizing some of those expenses that were used on projects for staff expenses currently. But you're recommending not doing that to ensure successful completion of the city's infrastructure projects that are underway. Can you explain that?
So the infrastructure projects that are underway and in the plan go towards the maximum indebtedness. We are protecting at this point the maximum indebtedness by not applying those charges to the agency at this time. We want, because of project costs have increased so much and the inflation of prices right now. And we want to wait and see how the economy goes before we do that to the agency.
As having a backup for utilizing the agency to cover funds, that might be necessary, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Yes, that and we need to ensure that we get all the projects done. And we don't want to compromise that.
Last night, we had an increase in all the engineering fees and everything. So those fees are gonna go to the private sector, so the private sector is for supporting.
No, not really, no.
Not charging project for supplementing.
Yes, we are in essence supplementing staff time. City staff time for the urban renewal agency. However, we are tracking those costs. And can go back and recover those at a later date.
I'll go back to the plans creation, so 2017.
But meanwhile, the private sector is getting higher and higher fees to do the private work.
For the most part, the private sector is the one that has the most demand on those services.
Across the board, same.
So my question would be this, I know we talked about the Cascade Tissue property and the Armstrongs, why aren't we including our actual waterfront in that? Because when that is developed, whether it be hotels, whether it be, commercial building, living building above, those are gonna assess it at a lot of money. And I think that needs to be
It's
put
listed.
in. Is it?
Yes, private investment on the city's waterfront redevelopment project.
Okay.
It's the first one listed.
But it just kind of highlighted that I know the Armstrong, when it was, when he was looking at it, basically the Armstrong and the Cascade issue properties, and it's also, yes, but this is probably equally as important because those already had a tax base when we adopted it.
Right.
This is actually more important because we get 100% of it.
Yeah, it's at 0 right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be highlighted too, that, you know. So,
We'll remember that for the future.
yes.
We have another comment on Zoom from Mr. Toskey.
Steve Toskey?
Yes, I've got kind of a follow-up. I've got a follow-up to the mayor's question, and that is, so if we do have development in the riverfront district, that is going to count toward assets to be included in urban renewal. Am I correct there?
The tax, yes.
Yeah, the tax base, the taxes, correct.
At $13 per thousand. The value of
Okay.
what's down there.
All right, and then two more questions. Don't know if this is the right time, but one is, I know there's some discussions about some land transactions in the industrial area. Is there a way that we can make sure we structure those so that those investments, if they are, those assets are sold to private investors, that the city is going to get the advantage of the taxes in urban renewal? That's the next question.
That would be correct. That was the way it would be set up.
Okay.
Even if they did lease, but we are more likely would like to sell. But they would be still taxed on the value of the assessed value of the land and the buildings and the business itself. All three.
The equipment as well.
Yeah,
Well, that's anyone.
yeah,
It's fine in the urban. The
yes.
agency boundary doesn't change. It's based on property transactions. It includes the Boise paper. Whatever's in there.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there's a triggering event because I know Cascades was operating the plant before the agency was created, and then now the agency's created. We've had some changeover, and I'm just putting out as a question whether we need to make sure something procedurally needs to happen to make sure that we can include whatever is happening on that property in urban renewal so that we can get the lion's share of the taxes.
Yeah, and so Jenny just said that that was already included and so because it went off, we lost a little bit, but hopefully we'll have something in there soon.
It's already in the urban renewal plan.
Yep,
The boundaries don't
the
change.
batteries do not change, yeah.
I have a question,
And then-
we talked about- I have a question.
And
talk about ahead, Steve.
I had one more question on the biannual versus annual meeting time, in that, number one, is there any intention to get further indebtedness to June 2025? It looks like we're going to be at 17 million plus. Any plan to get further indebtedness? If there is further indebtedness, can we have a trigger for review? And then, in that we are having expenditures, looks like we are spending money. I would like to hear why is it that we don't want at least biannual, meaning twice a year meetings. So those would be my questions on that.
So
Semi.
biennial budget means it's every 2 years. So we're doing annual now because we do want to be able to have that
Update.
flexibility from year to year.
Do we want to have a 6-month check-in in that we're spending, we're
No.
projected to go 8 million in debt to 17 million debt? Do we want to have a check-in?
That's not the process. The council could, or the Urban Renewal Agency Board of Directors could ask for a 6-month check-in, yes. But for budget purposes, if there was going to be some additional expenditure that wanted to be approved, it would not go through the budget committee, it would just go through the agency board of directors.
Additional expenditures in addition to 17 million?
In addition to what is in the budget. Because this is the budget. We're not talking about the whole plan.
Right.
We're talking about just this 1-year budget.
And the 17 million is to complete the roadway and the other work along the riverfront. Is that generally what we're talking about on the 17 million?
Yeah, as the budget message states, it's primarily for the street and utility extension to serve the city's waterfront redevelopment project and phase 1 of the Riverwalk project.
Okay. And so so I guess 2 things is, in that we do have the board with us. And this is a budget meeting. I do think there's some productivity and discussion, my opinion, of if there's going to be any further debt, that should be something.
You guys can actually have a say in that, and it's actually descriptive in the urban renewal. If you watch the video, it is descriptive on what the urban renewal, not budget committee, the urban renewal committee can spend on those projects. It's descriptive on what we can and cannot use it for. And it has highlighted areas throughout the city that target certain areas. So it's a mechanism used to also, you could use it if say somebody wants to build a big building on the highway on a vacant lot. And they say, we need a little bit of help, or we want to build here, but we want enticement. We want you to supplement a little bit of your SDCs. But we're gonna build and we're gonna employ a lot of people. The urban renewal does have that ability to do that. That is correct.
And in the
Yep.
in the urban renewal plan, the maximum indebtedness sets how much the urban renewal can spend.
Yes.
Right, 62 million.
Over the life of the, over the life of the urban renewal.
We're 1/3 there almost.
No,
So I'm just bringing up that we're,
no, we're not 1/3 there.
okay, I'm missing it,
We're
17
fourth.
million.
We're fourth. And it's the waterfront. It's the one project that everybody, that all the taxing agencies, when they showed up, because I was here in 2016, said, absolutely, we like the whole plan, do not. Because we had it in 3 phases and we kept it to only 20 million down here. And they actually said, no, we want to expand this to all of what we see here. We like it all, the fire district, the school district, I Schmidt Pool, all the commissioners, all 3 of them were here, county commissioners, they all loved it.
I
And so, you know.
personally think an annual, meeting time is appropriate,
Mhm.
by this time, a year from now, a lot of those projects will be coming to completion, it would be a perfect time to get together and talk about it and see what's going on. I don't think it needs to be more than that.
But I just want to make sure that they understand the parameters, because what I hear is that it's not allowed that we control that money in the budget committee. And want to, approval of moving projects forward or not moving forward. That's not the job of a budget committee.
Well, my only question was whether the agency members want to have some kind of a check and balance in that we are committed to 17+ million in expenditures, and whether they want to have, in the event, for example, somebody comes and says, we want to spend another 10 million, we want to borrow another 10 million, that there's some check and balance on that.
The agency board of directors would meet and
Be a public hearing.
be all of those decision makers on that, if that were to occur. And it would be a public process.
It's
Right,
not
do
the-
they want to get the budget committee involved? That would be the question. We'd say, hey, look, you're limited to 17 million this year. You want more? You got to assemble the budget committee and explain.
That's not for the budget committee to determine. If the agency board of directors wants to involve the budget committee in those kinds of discussions, they will invite you to do so.
Another
I'm
comment
wondering-
from Jennifer Massey that I can read in. So committee member Jennifer Massey types that she has no questions at this time. Reading the urban renewal presentation was extremely informative.
Thank you.
Sounds like it's not in our purview, Steve. I've got a couple questions. We talked about reactivation of the mill site, reactivation of the Armstrong site. Are we just hopefully anticipating, or is there something maybe in the works that will come to consideration?
I can just state that we signed an LOI with, Project Arcadia, and that's all I can say.
And that's
All we can say.
a paper mill company?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
And Armstrong is privately owned,
Okay.
so we don't control that.
And a small question, are we, for the improvements to the First Street, are we talking about underground utilities all the way on First Street into the new project?
Yep, and also intersection improvements to make it more pedestrian friendly at First and St. Helens, Cowlitz and First, Tualatin, staircase, all the trail, I mean, the whole project, yeah.
Curbs,
Well, and that, and
Not
putting that
sidewalks.
under the ground, because would be appealing to developers to have that in. Because that's one of the setbacks is that there wasn't the infrastructure there for building stuff.
It's really part of a bigger effort to tie the old and the new together, so that you have common features and street furniture, and you don't have power poles out in one area and down the next, or
Gaps in the
ground,
sidewalk or, yeah.
form landscape and things of that nature.
Any other questions or comments? On the budget, on the project, or?
So next would be, public comment.
Any public comment on what we've just heard on the proposed URA budget? Is there any public?
Well, I guess I'll say something.
Okay, great.
I am concerned
What's
about.
your name?
Your name and,
St. Helens. The $3 million that you're gonna allocate is already there, so I guess I don't have a problem with that. That's for this budget committee. I would have a problem increasing it, because as we all know, right now, the urban renewal is basically a district that is bankrupt because of the fact that your revenues are actually lower than when you started the district, because of the fact that Cascade's left. So $3 million is there, you haven't spent because you've been accumulating it. But I would be very hesitant to be leaving beyond that, and that's really not just for the budget committee, but for the committee that controls urban renewal. Because you don't have the money. And I don't like the idea that you're doing in your city budget as well, that you're counting fantasies of things happening. And it's great. I really do hope that the paper money gets restarted. But I don't want to see you counting that money before it actually happens. And I think there's a tendency to do that.
Yeah, I'd love to comment that. In your packet, you'll see this trajectory of growth, and we share that concern as far as making sure our financials are correct, and that even in the worst case scenario, when everything goes bad, are we still gonna be able to service our debt? Because that's really what we're taking out this debt, and we want to make very well sure that we can be able to service that. We did already take a look at that, and it does, Cascades Leading does have an impact, and the bottom blue line on this chart, you'll see it have a little dip down towards the bottom right there, and that shows that impact. But the growth curve here doesn't assume, it's the most conservative approach. It doesn't show any new investment on the water. So we feel like, you know, even in the worst case scenario, we're in a pretty good shape. And we've had WR solutions like this, update our financials in the answering that question, what does Cascades Leading need for us?
And traditionally, but just waterfronts in general pay for themselves. You got Coos Bay and North Bend have one on their waterfront. Hood River actually exceeded their urban renewal, and it paid itself off quicker than expected.
That's good too.
Yeah, so yes, it is designed and it's thought out, knowing that it has to pay for itself too. They don't just Elaine Howard and the crew that come and present it. And that's why the taxing districts were like, use all that money because we see the end result. They see the new buildings down here. They see where it can be utilized for many different things. And it's all descriptive on the website if you go look at it. I can't name them all. There's so many.
The projects are meant to benefit all of the taxing districts within the area. So that's why those are heavily involved in the formation, and that's where the support comes from in doing those plan areas with the in partnership with those districts that will be affected.
I also want to point out that it's 3 million in capital outlay, but there's also 651,000 in contingency in the proposed budget. So it's in the bank. That's not speculative. That is.
Other public comment? Okay, guess I just have a general question on all the infrastructure we're putting in. What is the timeline, and maybe I'm way behind the 8 ball on this, of putting out to the public, to the world, that we've got a project here, who is interested, or have people shown interest? Do we have upcoming tenants that we anticipating that are specific?
Great question, because I've been chomping at the bit asking that. I've mentioned it a few times to both these people right here. So Gloria.
But they just want to buy all.
And what not Hood River, what Independence did it, they actually gave modest numbers and showed what the development would project back to see this urban renewal and pay for itself. And the long-term benefits, and they were modest and people could not argue with it. And I've been wanting to do that, but we can't, of course, budget, you know, with it, to hire somebody that can come in. Gloria's up to her eyeballs, she can't do it all, right? And it takes a little bit more, yeah, takes a little bit more, but I think we're really close. I mean, the end of this year, you can put it out 3 months before. The infrastructure is in at the end of this year.
What's your plan? No, you.
We had talked about it doing it about this time of year, summer months where, you know, you go out and walk the site today, you feel it, you see it. It's starting to look like you can, it's pretty easy to visualize.
What's gonna be available, how far down?
It is gonna go to, well, the utilities extend all the way through and the bluff trail will be complete. Pump station and all that, but the roadway will only go to 12 at this point.
So it is all available, yes. But it looked kind of funny to have somebody pave at the very end, you know, but that's, if they wanted that parcel, absolutely.
Is there conditions on what can go in there? I mean, as far as like, is it like shops and houses?
The zoning here.
Riverfront district.
Mixed use zone.
And are we talking leasehold? Are we talking purchase? Are we talking,
That's something we have not decided.
okay,
Well, most people want to purchase, you know, and, I know that, Mike Sykes, when he was over at Forest Grove, they sold a chunk of property to a developer, in their urban renewal for only $250,000, and it's right near their city hall. And it was worth more than that, but that's what got that building built, so that's why they did that.
That's what they did in Independence too. They sold the property for very, very little, but the return on that investment was greater than the value of the property.
and we will legally parcel it out as with need. I mean, they're not individual parcels now, but we'll provide it legal description depending upon what the demand is. Okay.
The roadway, the new roadways in there will define some of those boundaries, but there's view corridors that are part of the plan and throughout our planning process, you know, just be flexible is what they kept telling us that,
The direct access to the river will still be public because
Well,
Yeah.
6 acres of that.
Yep.
About 6 acres is still public lands. So, nobody's being blocked off in the river.
That's right.
Okay, any other comments, public or at this table? Questions? Jenny, do you have anything else? Go on ahead.
Just wanted for the record, thank the rapper Logic for coming in and introducing himself.
I'm sure that's.
And I got record. Make sure I get to the minutes.
You got it.
So we have not amended anything to this budget. So I guess we'll look for a motion to approve,
Whenever you're ready.
unless there's any more discussion or anything we've left out. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I'll look for a motion to approve, first paragraph, budget for the city of St. Helens Urban Renewal Agency, the amount of $3,650,954. And approve that the agency levy and maximum incremental tax revenue as provided under state law. I'll look for a motion on that.
Oh, he's looking for.
you were making it.
The chair doesn't do
Not
it,
repeat
yeah.
all of the said.
And it's written down right there.
Say so.
So moved.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or as read.
As written and read.
I want to make a motion to move to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget for the city of St. Helens Urban Renewal Agency in the amount of $3,650,954 and approve that the agency levy the maximum incremental tax revenue as provided under the state law.
Okay. We have a
There you go. There you go.
motion and a second. Got a brief discussion or comments? I'll look for approval by the signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Toski is an aye on the budget. I'm a yes.
Okay, motion is approved.
Thank you again for being here and going through the process and giving us time and being a part of it.
Meeting is hereby adjourned. I'm just kind of sad we're not here till 9.